Alrighty, so this is the lipids pages of the B1.1 workbook. This starts on page 11. I don't think it's actually like the number page 11, but it's the one that's labeled page 11. This packet had weird numbers. Anyway, so lipids. Key things about lipids is that they have all of these different classes, like subclasses. It's a huge group, and so it can be broken down into triglycerides, phospholipids, steroids, waxes, fatty acids, lipoproteins. There's different ways that you can classify and organize them. All of them, however, are insoluble, nonpolar, hydrophobic. And so real quick, let's get some highlight going. So we'll make lipids in general. Bum-ba-da-dum. They are insoluble. Meaning they can't dissolve in water. They are hydrophobic. And they are nonpolar. There is some exception when we'll talk about phospholipids, but that's an exception to the rule, not the rule. So we'll put a little asterisk, and then we'll put that with phospholipids. All right. And then we have our glyceride subgroup, which has our triglycerides and our phospholipids. What sets these guys apart is that all of them are a glycerol and then a certain number of fatty acids. Glycerol plus fatty acids. We have our fatty acids themselves. Bum-ba-dum. Which come in two flavors, saturated and unsaturated. And then of unsaturated, you then have monounsaturated or polyunsaturated. Saturated, where am I going to write single bonds? Saturated, you can think S for single. It is all single bonds. Unsaturated, it has double bonds. Mono means it just has one double bond. Poly means it has many. Like this example one right here, it has 1, 2, so it would be a polyunsaturated fatty acid. If you want to be extra specific, it would be a cis polyunsaturated fatty acid, because both of the hydrogens are on the same side. You know. And then we have kind of our others group. The key one that we're going to focus on really is steroids. We won't really talk a ton about waxes and lipoproteins until later on. In this section of the book, in this section of the unit on a molecular level, what IB really needs you to focus on is steroids and their little ring structures. Waxes, all that IB really needs you to know is that they are mostly solid, and then lipoproteins they talk about in so much more detail later. And so these are just kind of the others. So we'll make steroids blue because we kind of have to focus on them. And then we'll make the other ones yellow because they're just kind of also included in this chapter. Bum ba dum bum 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 bum. Steroids, the key thing. 4 rings. And later on, we'll talk about how they can move through membranes. And then we get on to looking at the specific structures of some of our glycerides. We start off with our triglycerides. When we look at the word triglyceride, it is easy in that it helps us remember what they're made out of. So, tri is 3. It tells us that we have 3 fatty acids. I'll label this part in blue. And then I like to remember the fact that it has a glycerol connecting them because it has this little glyceride part that tells you that there is glycerol. And so now let's look at the structure. And so it tells you that they are 3 fatty acids joined to 1 glycerol, and then it tells us to draw them separately, which, I don't know. It is what it is. We'll draw them separately here. We draw them joining in the next page, so it's fine. So 3 fatty acid molecules joined to 1 glycerol molecule. It also only has us draw 1 fatty acid. It's alright. We draw a ton of them next, so I will save you all the headache. So the way that these are able to bond together to make your triglyceride is because they have these specific chemical groups on them. They have a hydroxyl group on your glycerol, and they have a carboxyl group on your fatty acid. But let's focus on glycerol for now. We'll do one at a time. So first off, glycerol is an alcohol. You can remember it because it has the -ol. Glycerol is a hydrogen single bond to 3 carbons, and then another hydrogen, and then each carbon has 1 hydrogen and 1 hydroxyl group, or the OH. And there's your glycerol. Let's make the hydroxyl group stand out. Bum-ba-da-da. Why did I pick red? Okay, well, hopefully that's different enough. And then dun 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 dun. That's the hydroxyl group. So it has 3 hydroxyl groups. 1 to bond to each fatty acid. It's crazy, right? And so then let's talk about fatty acids themselves. They're the, what was Beyonce's band called? Dream Girls? They're the Dream Girls. And so, oh, then later on the phosphate group can be Beyonce. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm sorry. So all fatty acids follow the same formula. Or I guess like not formula, but like structure. And can be pretty much simplified down to being their carboxyl group, a repeating section, and then the end section, which is always going to be a CH3. And so, oof, hang on. I need different colors. I don't have 3 different blues, so one of them's going to be teal. We'll make the carboxyl group teal. So you have your HO carbon double bonded to an oxygen, which is then bonded to however many carbons bonded to 2 hydrogens that you have in that fatty acid chain. And that's the part that can change. And then whatever your end is, like the end of the tail is always going to be a CH3. And so this section here, ooh, is the carboxyl group. And that's what bonds to the hydroxyl group. They form an ester bond. This is the boop, boop, boop. Repeating carbon, hydrogen, chain, and the N is just the number of carbons. And then this is just the end. Oh, my box is gonna touch. Okay, it's fine. And it's just the end group with a little carbon tail. Or, I'm sorry, a hydrogen tail. I lied. And so again, it's your carboxyl group and your hydroxyl group that allow the condensation reaction and the ester bond. Oh, I don't have a blackout. Oh well, it's fine. Hydroxyl groups and carboxyl group. We'll write it in dark blue. Allow the condensation reaction to occur and the ester bond to form. To link them. And then we'll just draw like a quick example fatty acid. Let's see. So we'll do HO, C, double bonded to oxygen, and then we'll do a carbon, double bonded, ooh, unsaturated, to a carbon, to the last carbon. So then hydrogen. These are both only going to have one. You know what? We'll make it a trans unsaturated. Hydrogen. Oh, I should have drawn the tail in the dark blue. Gosh darn it, Jessica. Okay, hang on. You rectify the situation. There we go. Problem solved. And so this is a trans monounsaturated unsaturated fatty acid. Get excited. Draw whatever fatty acid your heart desires. On to the next step. Oh, that's the wrong way. I could have sworn there was a page in between these. No? Oh, it comes later. Alrighty, so then we have to compare triglyceride and phospholipid formation, which feels weird because we haven't done the formation yet, but it's what it is. And so when you look at them, they look really similar, except for the fact that your phospholipid has a phosphate group instead of a third fatty acid. So again, your 3 dream girls, and then your 2 dream girls, Beyonce. And so to form I'm sorry, I don't know. I'm in a weird mood today. So to form a triglyceride, you have, oh, come on. Triglyceride is 1 glycerol, 3 fatty acids. And then to form your phospholipid, you have 2 fatty acids, and then the third is a hydrophilic phosphate group. And they're joined via an ester bond through a condensation reaction. And so let's write in our similarities. Oh, hang on. Triglycerides are blue. Phospholipids are red. And please don't let this chlorine confuse you. Lots of different groups can bond with your different phospholipids. And so most of the time you'll either see chlorine, that's pretty standard, or you'll just see this represented as like R to show that it can be multiple different things. Again, typically it's chlorine, but it can be a couple of different things. So please don't let the chlorine confuse you. It is like not necessarily part of the team. It's kind of like its own separate thing. Mainly, you're just looking at this part. Maybe we should do the fatty acids in a color too. Maybe that'll be helpful. Yes, let's do that. So real quick, we'll make all of our fatty acids orange. Fatty acid, fatty acid, fatty acid, fatty acid, fatty acid. We'll make our glycerol green. I don't care what color you make yours. Glycerol. That way we can see the similarities. Boop, boop. Dun, 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 dun. Whoops. Oh shoot, that's part of the fatty acid. Oh well, I done goofed it. I done goofed it up. I'm not going back. We're just gonna try to fix it. There we go, problem solved, rectified. I just forget that it sticks up weird like that. There we go. Now no one will ever know I made a mistake. And then we'll make the phosphate group, I don't know, yellow? Oh, that's too similar. Oh my goodness gracious. I'm not gonna restart. This is the second time I'm filming this. Where are my other colors? Ew. I only have gross colors left. Okay, we'll make it gray. I'm so sorry, phosphate group. Okay, well, color choices aside, I think it gets the point across. All right, similarities. They both contain fatty acids. This also like bothers me. I don't like that there's not a clear enough line between similarities and differences. It makes me upset. Okay, there we go. Okay. Contain fatty acids. They both contain glycerol. They're both formed by condensation. And they both have ester bonds. You could also have that 3 water are released. From my condensation, 3 water released. Oh, here are the ester bonds. Boop. Circle the right one. There we go. Can I make an arrow work? Oh, it's okay. There we go. It's a little bit of an ugly arrow. It's fine. Here's the other circles. All right, now we'll do differences. Yay! So your triglycerides they have 3 fatty acids. They have no phosphate group. And they are only hydrophobic. Your phospholipids, woo, have 2 fatty acids, a phosphate group, and are partially hydrophilic. All right, these ones can go real fast, speed run. What is the name of the bond that is formed between glycerol and fatty acid molecules? Ester bonds. How many water molecules would be produced in the formation of a triglyceride or phospholipid? 3. And then here's the ones where we might not know. So, where in the body are triglycerides and fats stored? Bum-ba-da-da. So for humans and most animals, triglycerides are in your adipose tissue. I know it didn't ask, but in plants. Oh, and they're in there as fat. Oh no, that's small. Okay, whatever. And then in plants, they are in seeds as oil. And then what are phospholipids used for? Cell membranes. Phospholipid bilayer. And then triglycerol can be broken back down again into subunits, glycerol and fatty acids. What type of reaction would have to take place and what molecules would it involve? This is like not a trick question. It is the same as what you would need for carbohydrates. It is hydrolysis. So a hydrolysis reaction would occur. Water is needed. How much water? Specifically 3. All right, now it's time to draw out the condensation reaction between glycerol and 3 fatty acid chains. This is going to be quite the image. Again, I did a draft run of this. It was a little bit of a mess. What color did I use for glycerol in the other picture? I don't remember. Orange. Okay, we'll keep it orange. Okay, come on. Refocus, please. Please. Whoa. Okay. So, I'm going to do the steps a little bit differently this time. I was told by people that that would help them, so we'll make them a little bit different. Make them a little bit less the way that they were last time. So, let's draw in glycerol. Hang on, let me get black too. Okay. So glycerol has H, 1, 2, 3 carbons, H, and then hydrogen, hydrogen, hydrogen. And then they have the hydroxyl groups. I'm going to draw the H that will eventually break off and become water in a different color. I'm going to make it blue, like water. And then we have to draw 3 fatty acid chains. Okay. Here comes the slight nightmare. So they all start with their hoe, which will become the water. So I'm going to draw that in a different color. And then they have the rest of their carboxyl group. So C, 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 double bonded to oxygen. Oh no, this is gonna get tight. It's okay. And then just for simplicity's sake, I'm only gonna give them 2 carbons in their chain and then an end carbon. 1, 2, end carbon. 1, 2, end carbon. And then the hydrogens, which always kill me, fitting them all in here is gonna be a little bit messy. If you can write itsy bitsy, this might not be a problem for you. And you know what? I can write pretty small. But, oh geez. Getting a little bit clustery. Okay, hopefully you get the point. It's the fatty acids, right? Alrighty. So real quick, let's label our key groups at play. So we have our hydroxyl groups. Oh, I spelled hydroxyl wrong. Hydroxyl groups. We have our boop carboxyl groups. And again, these are 3 separate fatty acids. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So, step 1. ATP is added. So here's my little diagram of step 1. ATP goes in. It's ATP. It's all hyped. It's energy. ATP goes in. That causes these water groups to separate and kind of come together. Step 2. We'll do step 2 in a different color. We'll do step 2 in light blue. Step 2. Hydrogen from glycerol binds with the HO from fatty acids to form 3 waters as byproducts. So these come together, make an H2O. These come together, make an H2O. These come together, make an H2O. And then all of these leave. And that's step 2. And then we get to draw the bond and the whole final product, the beautiful triglyceride. Together as one. Oh shoot, so I need another color for step 3. Gosh darn it. Okay. So, oh, where am I gonna write that? Okay. Draw a little dotty line to show that time has passed. So step 3. Ester bond forms, linking each fatty acid to glycerol. Am I not being loud enough? Why are the lights turning off? Alright, so time to draw our glycerol in. H, C, 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 H, 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 And then I'm going to draw the ester bond in a different color. We'll make it green so that it matches. Oh. 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 And then we have our fatty acids, which are going to be a nightmare to squeeze in here again. Carbon, double bond oxygen, carbon, double bond oxygen, carbon, double bond oxygen. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now time to squeeze all these hydrogens in. Oh no. Okay. Please fit. So these are all of your ester bonds. And then, ta-da, you now have a triglyceride. So now you have a triglyceride plus, can't forget about the byproduct, 3H2O, or water. In case you forgot. Oh my gosh, this video is so long. I'm so sorry. Alright. Oh no, there's so much more to do. Okay, I'll do this one and then I'll just make a second video. It's fine. It's fine. So formation of phospholipids, again, it's going to be a lot of the same thing, except for now it's 2 fatty acids and a phosphate group. And so get excited. We get to draw glycerol again. So H, and then 1, 2, 3, H. I did the more spread out this time. That might be a mistake. We'll find out. And then H, 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 and then O, 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 and then we'll do the ones that'll eventually become water in a different color. Okay. So now we have to do 2 fatty acids and our phosphate group. So we have our 3 Ho's. They're still here. But now what we add to them is going to be different. So first 2 are going to be the same. We do our carbon, oxygen, carbon, double bond oxygen. We have our regular carboxyl group. We'll do the same 3 carbons. Fill in the hydrogens. Okay, maybe the more space helped. I don't know. We'll find out. It's our little fatty acids. And then, oh, what color should the phosphate group be? We'll make it purple. We did it so dirty on the last page. All right, and then your phosphate group, you have your OH group, your P, double bond O, single bond O negative, and then single bond, and we're just going to put an R with a little star. The little star meaning could be multiple different things. Typically chlorine. Like, the way we'll see it is mostly with chlorine. But, you know, it can be other things. So just an FYI. Alrighty. Again, it's time to label our friends. So we have our hydroxyl groups. We have 2 carboxyl groups. Oh shoot, our carboxyl groups go all the way over. Gosh darn it, Jessica. Okay, a little ugly. It's fine. And then, although this is not a carboxyl group, this phosphate group has very similar properties. So we'll just label it as a phosphate group. That's fine. I guess just phosphate group. It feels silly labeling it. Whatever, it's fine. Okay, so then back to the steps. They're going to be almost exactly the same. So step 1, ATP is ATP is added. This pen is too juicy. We have our ATP. Oh my gosh, I wrote AP. Okay, ATP. I'm really goofing it up today. Put it number 1. It's highly energetic. There it goes. ATP is added, causes these bonds to break, these to come together. Step 2. Hydrogen from glycerol binds with the HO from fatty acids and phosphate group to form 3 waters as byproducts. Boom. And so we have these 2, they come together, they make an H2O. These 2, they come together, they make an H2O. These 2, they come together, they make an H2O. And then all of them leave. Step 2. And then I guess it's dotted line time again. Step 3. Ester bonds form. Linking 2 fatty acids and a phosphate group. To glycerol. Now it's time to draw everything again. Okay. Gotta keep the stamina up. Hydrogen, carbon, 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 hydrogen, 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 hydrogen. Ester bond, ester bond, ester bond. label them as ester bonds. Time to draw in the fatty acids, but only 2 this time. Carbon, oxygen, carbon, double bond, oxygen. 1, 2, 3 carbons. 1, 2, 3 carbons. Hydrogen, oof. Hydrogen, 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 hydrogen again, hydrogen, 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 hydrogen. Okay, phosphate group. P, double bond, oxygen, single bond, oxygen, negative, single bond, R group, asterisk. Done. Beautiful. And now it's time to label. I can't label it in purple because now that's the phosphate group. Gosh darn it, Jessica. I'll label it in red. Dun 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 dun. Phospholipid. And can't forget three H2Os, or water. Ta-da! Okay, I will save you all. I'll do the next ones in a different video. That way it's not like a 2-hour long video of this.